This is the first episode of my interview with Vedic Meditation teacher, Dr. Anna Young Ferris. I hope you enjoy it and don't forget to come back next week for part 2. Hi, I'm Sue Lindsay and this is the Well Woman podcast. I've worked with countless women and teenage girls over the years as a natural women's health clinician. And I know how hard it can be to get the help you need to overcome hormonal imbalance, infertility, perimenopausal symptoms, and more. In this podcast, I bring together the best of East and West, my knowledge in natural medicine and nutrition, together with insights from experts in the field of women's wellness. I'm your trusted guide as you navigate your hormone healing journey, giving you support and guidance along the way. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. It's time to nourish you with Well Woman. Hi everybody. Well, today I am thrilled to have Dr. Anna Young Ferris with me in the studio to talk about all things Vedic meditation. So Anna is a Vedic meditation teacher and she's an academic specializing in bringing consciousness to business. That's not it though. She also teaches Vedic meditation to help women break free from the stresses of modern life and to find their inner calm, as well as raising 3 delightful children and inspiring us all the way along. Welcome, Anna.
Hi, Celine. I'm so delighted to be here today.
So Anna, we caught up this morning for a really beautiful beach walk, and I wanted to ask you, because I know this is a big part of the Vedic philosophy and practice, what was your morning practice this morning?
So that is a great question. Every day can look different, but today was actually one of my kind of ideal starts to the morning. So I woke up around 5 a.m. and I go and I scrape my tongue, which is an Ayurvedic practice to help remove toxins, brush my teeth and go to the bathroom, splash some water on my face. And then I usually jump back into bed. If I'm not doing a deep kind of sadhana, a deep daily practice, which involves me going down to my studio, I will go back and meditate in bed, which is really comfy to be able to do that. And I have quite a long program these days. So I'll do my Vedic meditation for 30 minutes and I have an advanced practice for another about 30 minutes. And then get up and the children start to wake up by that stage. So that's, around 6:30, 7 o'clock. I will sort them out for going to school. And then I like to try to move the body and do some exercise. So that was why it was great that we got to catch up and go for a walk.
That makes perfect sense because you were glowing this morning. And I'm now thinking, that would have been such a luxurious morning. Yeah,
absolutely.
That sounds beautiful.
So nice.
So I've got you in today to tell my beautiful listeners about the benefits of Vedic meditation. Why don't we start with, what is Vedic meditation?
Great question again. So Vedic meditation is based on a 5,000-year-old tradition that began in India. And so it is a beautiful mental tool or mental technique where you gently repeat a mantra, a sound or a vibration inside the mind, and it helps you to just really come to your center, to relax, to transcend the monkey mind, so to speak. We ideally, when we start, we practice for 20 minutes twice per day. And it really just gives us that opportunity to ground, to connect, to center, and just to create that mental space that we're all really in need of in our very demanding Western lives that, I imagine many of your listeners are partaking in.
It's just that chaos, isn't it? That daily chaos. So this is almost like a retreat from the chaos.
Absolutely. You don't have to leave anywhere. You don't have to go on a holiday. You can have this little mental holiday twice per day, ideally. And it just, watch the benefits unfold. As you know, being one of my students, you can also talk to those benefits as well.
Absolutely. So for all of my listeners, I met Anna in 2022, and it was just after my father passed, and I really needed something to help me manage my anxiety. Isn't it interesting how life traumas can set in motion dis-ease in the body? And that was a point for me. I remember telling you I feel really anxious all the time. That was when I learned the Vedic meditation technique in Anna's beautiful studio in Newport, which is such a sanctuary. I mean, that is so beautiful. Was that kind of half the joy of setting up that space overlooking the trees? It's like you're in a tropical jungle.
I know, it's beautiful just having that outlook where you really don't have many houses around, even though we are, in the heart of Newport in Sydney, being on that Pittwater side and just the trees, and that space was just meant to be. And it's the perfect little sanctuary, as you say, for my courses and also where I do my other work from as well. So
yes, and I guess you're very big on the consciousness aspect, aren't you? Because that's what you do in your daily job as well.
Yes. At the moment, I'm not teaching meditation full time. That will happen one day. I know the universe will allow that, let's say. But yes, I also love and have spent a long-term career in looking at business and corporates and seeing how to bring consciousness to business, raising awareness around climate change, sustainability, inequality, health and safety. So all of those aspects. So for me, it's very connected to teaching students to meditate, bringing consciousness to individuals. I do that in the working environment too, through my corporate consulting and my work as an academic, working at University of Sydney Business School. So teaching students there, and then doing research, doing some really deep research projects in this field of sustainability.
Yes. Oh, that's actually a really interesting point, because there is a bit of research on Vedic meditation and its benefits. What would you say would be the top benefits that have come out of the research?
There are, several scientific studies that talk about the benefits of Vedic meditation and meditation in general on the physiology. So just helping with things like sleep is a massive one. Managing the hormone levels, the different effects that the demands we put on our bodies, right?
Exactly. It's all interconnected, isn't it?
So interconnected.
The hormones, even if it's just the hormone cortisol that we're looking at.
The stress.
And then estrogen doubles as a stress hormone. So there's such a powerful interplay there between stress system hormones.
Exactly. And so one of the beautiful benefits of a regular meditation practice is it's actually your chance to bathe your nervous system in the bliss chemicals. When we're in that fight or flight, stress, anxiety kind of mode, the sympathetic nervous system, and there is the adrenaline and the cortisol kind of pumping. And you know way more about this than me. This is your area of expertise, but the science backs up now what the ancient yogis and sages from 5,000 years ago knew by, honoring and looking after our nervous systems. And so, for example, in a Vedic meditation session, when you're sitting and meditating and gently repeating the mantra and, you've had the right instruction and the right teaching and you're practicing in the correct way, you are then able to bathe in those bliss chemicals. So in the serotonin, the dopamine, which is
oxytocin, another really good one.
Yes, exactly. So that's kind of that from that science perspective, and that's also when the healing happens, because the mind and the body is so connected.
And I guess in this day and age, for a lot of women, particularly in the midlife, so the late 20s, 30s, 40s, early 50s, that chemistry takes a bit of a beating. That's definitely been my personal experience. As I get busier and I have more responsibilities, and maybe there's health issues thrown in there, and then you have, change and loss of a loved one, and whatever we can do to regenerate that bliss chemistry, we should be doing.
Absolutely. Because that's it. We put so much demand, and I think you've noticed that I have a lot of students that are similar to me. We're busy. We run businesses, we have full-time jobs, we have children, we have very active social lives. there isn't sometimes, and I see it in my students, there isn't, or when they come to me, I guess, there's no kind of break from that busyness. And then that's when the fatigue or the stress, the anxiety can impact the nervous system, which then may manifest in the health issues.
Yes.
All of that. It's also connected. So if we just gift ourselves this practice, and there's many other ways and practices, but obviously I highly recommend Vedic meditation. It is giving back to yourself, giving back. And it might seem like it takes time away. People, one of the big misconceptions is I don't have time. But actually, when we get into a regular practice, you're gifting yourself so much healing, so much mental clarity, combating of fatigue, and then also just the brain coherence. So being able to just be much sharper, much clearer. Another one of the benefits students talk about when they first start learning to meditate is the clarity around problems that have been ruminating. What do they say? I think 97% of the thoughts that we kind of incessantly think, the monkey mind as I call it, are recycled.
Yes. I've got one of those.
Yeah, they're recycled from the day before. So we're like expending all this energy in thinking and doing.
Yes.
Rather than being. And that's really putting my hand on my heart here, that being, getting out of that monkey mind, out of the thinking, doing.
Yes, not so much doing, more being.
More being. And that's what we're doing when we sit to meditate. We're tapping into that beautiful place, that reserve that's right within us.
It's definitely having a moment right now, isn't it? Vedic meditation. Yeah, and I can see why, 100%. When I sit down to do my daily practices, I feel like it's kind of delicious in a way. It feels like I'm just moving into these waves of bliss. What's your experience when you meditate? I'm quite interested to know what other people's experiences are when they do their practice.
So yeah, what you're talking about, it is so juicy. When you've been practicing and meditating regularly, and sometimes it can take some time to build up and to be at that point in those experiences of the waves of bliss, which is what we call the transcendental aspect of the meditation, where you're transcending beyond the busy thinking, doing mind, and you're going into that calm reserve of stillness that's right there within. So, there's nothing I love more than sitting down for my afternoon meditation. I just look forward to it so much. I, block out the space in my diary, and it's just the most beautiful thing, the most beautiful gift. And that's one of the other, I guess, misconceptions is people are like, I'm meditating, I don't have time, I've got so much on my to-do list. But actually and what I work a lot closely with my students is reframing it to be actually developing a relationship with yourself and with your higher self. And so why would you not prioritize that? Why would you not make the time, make the date in your diary with yourself? So that's my afternoon meditations are usually much deeper than my morning ones are a little bit busier. And that's another point I wanted to share. A lot of students come to me, they've tried other techniques and they say, I can't meditate because I can't stop the thoughts. And so I think one of the great benefits or one of the great aspects of Vedic meditation is that it's based on an ancient 5,000-year-old tradition. Yet Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, who brought the practice to the West in the 50s, made it fit the householder lifestyle. So you and I, we are householders. We live in the world. We have children, we have jobs, families, pets, social lives. And so what can happen with some of the other techniques is that, you might put an app on and do it on the bus and then, have a nice experience. And I think the apps are great. It's making meditation very accessible. So I'm all for that. But once you're ready for a technique, Vedic meditation is incredible because it's these 20 minutes twice per day have been proven to allow the busy kind of Western mind that ability to reach into those states of bliss, reach into the transcendence. the part about the thoughts is so fascinating because people are like, oh, but I can't meditate. You know, I've tried this app or I've tried that. And what we realize in Vedic meditation is thoughts are part of the process. So what you're doing is you're laundering out all of the stresses from the day, from the week, from the year, from the time before you started meditating. And we put a lot of demands on ourselves in this we've created overly complicated, very demanding Western lives, you know, where we scheduling in things, you know, from
right down to the minute.
Right down to the minute, and then you throw in, you know, social lives, children, study, work. It's, you know, we don't allow ourselves space to be. We are always doing. And this is where the anxiety is coming from, the mental health issues, depression, which then manifest in the physiological ailments and problems as well. So the great thing about Vedic meditation, and this takes time for students to appreciate and understand, is that there can be thought-filled meditations, and it's okay. That's good, because it means that those thoughts, and we go through so much of this detail on the actual course, in much more detail than what I'm sharing here. But what happens is those thoughts are actually a signal that the stress is releasing out of the nervous system. So we lock the stress into the cells. And so when we're meditating, there is this beautiful process of cellular restructure going on where we're releasing that stress, and that's where then the mental clarity comes. You come out of a session, a meditation session, even if it's been very thought-filled, and there will be clarity. You'll kind of stop the meditation and, you know, go through the steps, and then you'll kind of look back and ponder and observe and think, actually, I feel really clear now because you've done that laundering. You know, you wouldn't leave the house without having a shower or brushing your teeth. And so I say meditating is that cleansing of the mind.
Which is so important, isn't it?
And, you know, why wouldn't you want to have a clean, clear mind to go and be there for your families or be there for your work colleagues or your friends?
Yeah, such a great point, you know, because we focus a lot on our bodies, you know, like cleansing our gut and making sure that we're regular and drinking enough water. And what about our minds? Yeah, that's so fascinating.
So important, so important. Yeah. And so just to finish on that point around the thoughts, is the beautiful thing about Vedic meditation is that this mantra, which is this vibration or this sound heard by the ancient sages and rishis. So it hasn't come from a human mind. It's actually gifted to us from nature. So this could be getting a little bit out there, but come with me. So this mantra is this vibration. And when we're gently repeating it in our mind, and the thoughts will be there, and you'll know this from practicing yourself, we then notice that we might start thinking thoughts, and then we gently come back to the mantra. Then the thoughts might arise again. And that thought process is fine. That's the thoughts and the stress releasing. You're actually just giving your physiology and your mind a chance to launder those stresses. And then over time, and it can happen very quickly with students, or maybe it can take some time, even a year, there will be a moment where you transcend the thought. So the thoughts will be there, but that's when you have what you spoke about earlier, those meditations, which are those, you know, those delicious, juicy, bliss-filled ones that we don't want to chase a particular outcome or desire because we're just facilitating a process. But it's very nice when we have those ones, and that's when really deep healing is taking place.
And in fact, that is interesting also because it's not about the outcome all the time. It is about the process, isn't it? I mean, health is a lot like that too. And that process you were describing of thoughts being, you know, the way I perceive it, the nervous system releasing, unwinding. You know, I work with a lot of women on sleep problems, and I have certain herbs that I use to help them sleep better. But in the beginning, there is an initial stage where I'll use particular herbs that unwind the nervous system. So they'll come back to me and say, I've had the craziest dreams. I'm having really vivid dreams, colorful things, heightened emotions and sensations in these dreams. They might be a little bit concerned about it at first, but it's actually good. It's just the body's way. It has a lot of things, like as you said, that are stored in the cells. And this is how the body is processing it. This is the language of the body. So after a while, that will stop and the dreams will become more calm and serene and beautiful, and sleep really deepens. But there is that initial stage. So is it a little bit like that with Vedic meditation, where you would naturally expect that when somebody starts to meditate and they haven't done something like this before, they would probably need to be a bit self-compassionate and, just kind of go with it. As you say, let it unfold organically.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's so interesting that you mentioned that about sleep, because I think I've realized over the years of being a practitioner of meditation, sleep is kind of dreams are like a stress release as well. It's the processing. The body is processing, things that happen during the day that get locked into the cells. And then as we know, there's things that get locked deeper and deeper into the cells. So yeah, absolutely. The meditation is allowing that processing to happen. So yeah.
But are we becoming bliss addicts, Anna? Because it is delicious. Yeah. And often, with what you mentioned before about the time, what I found works really well for me is to find a time in my day where I kind of have to be somewhere and it's not at home, because I get really distracted, or it's not at work. So what I'll often do is schedule my meditation before I pick my son up from school. So I'll drive to school, I'll get there early, and then I'll sit in my car for my 25 minutes and I'll do my meditation. So I find that works really well for me. I don't find the afternoon one difficult.
I love that. You are like star student. Because, so we say, the first one, as soon as you wake up, sort of non-negotiable like that. And that usually people can commit to that and find that not too difficult. Everyone is different. Everyone's journey looks different. And then I love that you've taken that advice around the school pickup, because that's something that I say in the course. Look, and I work really closely with students about how to fit it in. And I guess a big message to the listeners is it can take time, months, even years to develop a regular meditation practice. But however, you'll see the benefits of the twice daily. Like when, I think even perhaps you at the beginning, that took a little while for you to get into the second one. Would that be right? Or you were pretty diligent from the beginning?
I think you've really liked it from the beginning. I just really liked it.
What did you say? The bliss addict?
Bliss addict.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But yeah, so I find like a lot of students, it's just even the first, you will definitely get benefits from doing one meditation. And we call that kind of the maintenance meditation, where that's really just helping to unlock the superficial stresses of the day and the nervous system. It's the second one, which is why you're just this creation guru at the moment, shall we say.
Oh, by the way, I have to just maintain that's school days.
That's school days.
It's a bit all over the place on
the weekend. Well, and we've got to be flexible. That's also what I love about this technique is, and that's what I workshop with students is just, it's going to look different every day. But what I was saying is the first meditation, you will get 35% of the benefits of the practice. The second delivers you 100% of the benefits, because what you're doing in the first meditation is usually like the clearing, which then opens up the space for you to have the much deeper meditation in the second one. So, if you're listening or thinking, don't rob yourself of that second meditation. It's where the creation happens. So one meditation, maintenance, which is going to have profound benefits on your life. 2 meditations, definitely moving you into the creation operator, which is where we want to be, right? We want to be living in our creation mode.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you think about it, 20 minutes, I mean, how often do we spend 20 minutes looking at social media? It's just such a much better way.
Exactly. and it gives back. It multiplies in benefits. So the clarity, the productivity, when you're like at work, because I know you're similar to me, like, you've got other jobs that you do and you just, I've just got to finish this. I've just got to get through this. And then when I'm like, no, stop, do your practice. And then, there's just so much more clarity and space.
Yes. Now you were talking about that before. And you know what I was thinking of? I was thinking of the herb Brahmi. There's a herb Bacopa monnieri, which is sometimes called Brahmi. I know there's some confusion because that's also another one. Gotcha cola is sometimes called Brahmi. But this herb Bacopa, it's one of our best herbs for ADHD and ADD. And I feel like it operates in a similar way to Vedic meditation. Okay, so how it works is it clears the mind so that you can focus on one thing. Because these days, I feel like with so much information coming at me from everywhere, I find that makes me feel ADD in myself. So this herb does that, and I feel like the meditation does that. You know,
Absolutely.
as you say, cleansing the mind and clearing it. And then I heard recently about a tea that you can drink before Vedic meditation, which was, of course, Bacopa monnieri.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, what is this tea?
So interesting. Yeah, so
Yeah,
I'll have to
beautiful.
give you some of this herb, right?
Yes. So I think what you're talking about there is that overwhelm. And that's what I was saying, like the stress, the anxiety, the overwhelm of just, I've got so much to do.
Yes.
So much to do. And that's when we're in that kind of thinking, doing mind and the to-do lists. And this is this little mental holiday or mental break, as we've been saying, to just stop and connect and realize, actually, we can just be. And that's what I think, is missing from our culture. Our Western lives don't allow time for being. We don't allow time for spiritual practice, if you want to call it that. We don't allow that time to connect. And I think that is, the symptom is, turn on the news, see what's happening in the world. It's really challenging that we've created this kind of society in this way that we don't honor being, we don't honor connection, we don't honor that grounded peace. I think everybody just wants peace, and the peace comes from the mind. Everything emanates from the mind. Yes, there's the physiology, there's the body, but healthy mind, healthy body.
And, as a mother, I certainly think, and I think you would relate to this too, that these practices are helping us to lead by example and teaching our children and future generations. This is how we can be, and we can have this beauty and this bliss, and we can still be in the world. So yeah, it's just a wonderful practice to share with especially busy mums. So, to all of my beautiful listeners, when I attended Anna's workshop, Anna performed the most beautiful mantra, and I have convinced her to share it with you here. So, what was the name of this mantra?
This is the Sarva Mula Mangala mantra. This is a different mantra to the one that you receive. We should just clarify for listeners.
Okay.
So the one you receive when you learn to meditate, the Vedic meditation technique, is a bija mantra, which is like a seed mantra. Then there are the chanting mantras that we sing out loud.
Because you were singing when you were doing the ceremony with the flowers and the water and the candles and the incense, and I was in a zone. I was already feeling the bliss.
Beautiful. That's it. And so there are different types of mantras. So this is more of a what we call a bhakti mantra, like a devotional mantra. And it's really about invoking the Mother Divine. And, the divine, like we talked about earlier. So bringing that, when we chant this mantra, when we sing this mantra, it's very much about just connecting into that beautiful divine energy that is all around us.
Oh, well, I'm so grateful you're going to share this with us. You are going to love this, everybody. All right, okay. I'll let you do your thing.
Okay. Sarva Mangala Mangaye Shive Savata Sadike Sharanye Trayambaki Gauri Narayani Namo Stute Savamang Galamangaye Shive Savata Sarike Sharanye Trayambaki Gauri Narayani Namostute Savamangala Mangaye Shive Savata Sarike Sharanye Trayambaki Gauri Narayani Namostute Narayani Namostute.
And that was the first episode of my interview with Vedic Meditation teacher, Dr. Anna Young Ferris. Isn't she just beautiful? Divine. So don't forget to come back next week. We have the second part of this episode, and I can't wait to share that with you. Hey everybody, please note that the information, opinion and advice provided in this podcast are not intended to replace professional medical care. They are for general information and educational purposes only. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast may not always be those of the host. Thanks for listening.